What's great, Tesla family? It's Beam J back with another video, and in this one, I need to separate what's the deal with Tesla spying video, the QQQ, and several different tickers. I'll separate what occurred with the CPI report that came out toward the beginning of today, what's going on with much more information emerging for later, and what it could mean for the business sectors. What the news is talking about Tesla is we have Elon Musk giving us a major update about Tesla's entrance to India and what the CHS are proposing for Tesla. Yet again, find this multitude of tickers before we get into the duplicates data. In any case, before I dive into additional subtleties, let me simply notice 2 or 3 things. I'm by and by not a monetary organizer, so take nothing I say as monetary counsel. Likewise, assuming you folks can, kindly look at the Webull Connect, which is down underneath and in the depiction. In the event that we pursue Webull and store $500 into the record, you're insured 20 free stocks. On the off chance that you store $25,000 or more, you're insured 75 free stocks. This offering closes in only 2 or 3 weeks. At any rate, presently we should separate what's befalling Tesla and the market as of this moment. The market took somewhat of a hit after CPI emerged, and I gave you all an admonition about how a major move is coming to the business sectors. We checked SPY out. SPY siphoned to $522.21 in offer, and afterward unloaded 10 focuses today, right down to $511.22 in offer. We got a major drop after CPI emerged, and from that point forward, the market exchanged sideways. Tesla, then again, fundamentally saw a not huge drop when we were opening, however at that point kept on sinking as the day happened as we had some bad news emerging from experts. In this way, I need to discuss what they wound up talking about, I need to discuss a few information, and afterwards separate what's the deal with the graphs in the following 2 or 3 minutes. Anyway, what's going on with this information? We should initially discuss this. Assuming that you folks saw my initial morning video, you all could avoid this part. In the event that you didn't see it, I will go over CPI simply genuine speedy once again for everyone individuals out there who likely didn't see it. CPI came out year more than year at 3.5 over the assumption for 3.4. Then we additionally had month-over-month CPI emerged at 0.4 over the 0.3% assumption. Center CPI year more than year was 3.8, that is over the 3.7% assumption, and afterwards center CPI month more than month was 0.4 over the 0.3% assumption. Everything was more blazing than anticipated by a tad. Not the best of information for the Fed and the business sectors. This made the business sectors see an extremely huge move to the disadvantage. CPI was somewhat hot. On top of all of this, we had Bowman giving a discourse, and that's what 2 or 3. Things like, and we saw a few fascinating changes. This is what the graph resembles for CPI. Thus, for all things, we have the blue line here. Notice how from January to February, this began to go up and went up significantly more. It went forcefully up a piece in the period of spring, and here we saw numerous months where CPS began to go up. I additionally need to take note of that, and this is only similar to more. Hypothesis: nothing's reliable here, yet the CPI report was going up around July and August, and that is the point at which the market began to downtrend. When CPI began to descend again by the October report, this turned out in November, that is the point at which the Securities Exchange wound up lining and we saw a major meeting back up. In this way, we're seeing a fundamentally the same as example here where CPI is beginning to go up, business sectors descending only a tad. Is it safe to say that we are going to see the market keep on sinking or not? That will rely upon significantly more information. However, with regards to center CPI, that is CPI without food and energy, correct? The purple line here, this has been exceptionally steady. It's been plunging a tiny bit of touch. The last report was somewhat more blazing than anticipated, so we'll find out how this turns out also. In any case, CPI is vital right now since this is connected a piece to PPI, which is emerging for later, particularly on the grounds that unrefined petroleum is going up, so the cost of a barrel of oil is proceeding to go up. This is vital, it's influencing expansion, making it go up too, and these things have a high relationship, as you folks can see by and large. Thus, this is vital, particularly as we're seeing more strains all over the planet that are sustaining, particularly in Iran. What's more, with this occurrence, it will have a major impact as we approach the late spring. Along these lines, I will proceed to simply screen the entirety of this information and find out how it turns out. I need to likewise get down on this from the Fed. In this way, for May, for the following FOMC meeting, there's a 96.4% opportunity the Federal Reserve will keep rates something very similar. For June, this changed. Previously, there was a 56% opportunity the Federal Reserve planned to cut and a 40-something% chance the Federal Reserve planned to keep rates something similar. This wound up changing in light of the fact that now the likelihood of the Fed giving us a rate slice in June has dropped to just 18%, and the chances of the Fed keeping rates as similar in June have increased to 80%. Thus, this went up and this one went down comparative with what yesterday was like. I recall this is significant on the grounds that currently there's an excellent opportunity that the Federal Reserve will keep rates higher for longer. This is a smidgen more negative news for the business sectors if the Fed keeps on doing as such. This means the Federal Reserve will keep rates higher, which will cause more agony for the economy and more likely constriction than what they were at first expecting, more than whatever the market was expecting too. This is significant for Tesla since Tesla is extremely delicate to loan costs, all right? This is exactly the same thing with the wide range of various vehicle organizations out there. Along these lines, this is some huge news up to this point, and we'll check whether this changes. Not excessively certain about July yet. We really want to see more information for that not entirely set in stone. The market is unbiased at the present time. We're not incredibly unfortunate yet. We're not incredibly insatiable. We're where the market's gone repurchased up once more. We'll need to check whether that go on tomorrow or not. The market is still very covetous, yet there are a few movements here. The puts and call choices proportion is going up. We're seeing more puts being purchased, more shorts heaping in, and all the while, market unpredictability is likewise expanding. We're beginning to see more apprehension sustaining inside the business sectors. That is vital and actually significant. To the extent that Tesla goes, we have some new news that emerged. Tesla examiners have reduced their cost focuses on the stock, as we saw a considerable lot of them out there as flawed as Sandler. They're actually giving Tesla an overweight rating, saying it will beat the market. Yet presently they're saying that it will race to about $205 an offer rather than $225, which is what they were talking about previously. We likewise saw an investigator at Bank of America say that Tesla will probably race to about $220 an offer rather than $280. That is one more cut that came. And we saw additional report about this from different examiners. For example, Jeffrey, the rundown goes on. However, we're seeing a ton of this event. A ton of these investigators likewise cut their conveyances targets. I went over this news during my second video of the day, so to see more data about this, simply check my second and third recordings out. I went over this in much more detail. There's additionally news that Elon Musk will be meeting state head Modi of India. He will meet him extremely soon, in only a long time. That is extraordinary information for Tesla, and Musk said that Tesla will enter India. He's quite certain they will be. His platitude occurring in the future is going, they simply need to keep on doing however much they can to change strategies, particularly for the EV area and different guidelines, yet this is an incredible piece of information for Tesla too. We had volume at 84 million. That is a smidgen suboptimal, and Tesla wound up seeing the short volume dropping a little, so it's sort of level not too far off. Morgan Stanley gave Tesla an overweight rating only 2 days prior. Goldman Sachs gave Tesla an unbiased rating. Pushing ahead, monetary evaluations have moved a tad downwards towards over the long haul, however this could really increment later on. Obviously, we're still large bulls as long as possible, however things are moving a little. At the cost-income proportion, it's somewhat low the present moment, as Tesla is as yet not however solid as what it seemed to be like previously, going into like last year, yet this could likewise move later on during the year on the off chance that Tesla gets to the next level. Wednesdays will generally be green just 48% of the time, and we will generally see greater instability at 10 a.m. Also 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What's more, that is all there is to it for information. I'm not exactly seeing something else that is excessively critical. Anyway, something final I need to discuss before I separate the diagrams, what information is coming up for later. For what reason is tomorrow another totally gigantic day? Indeed, for later we have the second piece of CPI emerging. We have PPI information emerging, and this will be vital. PPI is the maker value file, similar to CPI besides from the maker side. This will be vital with regards to inflationary projections, since this is more affected by the assembling things that I was showing you all before and factors like that. Thus, this will influence CPI during the following month. This is a vital proactive factor. Presently, we're anticipating a slight increment incidentally for center PPI by around 2.3. It was at 2% last time, so a slight increment is normal. I feel that this will be moderate. This is typically not that insane, yet the huge thing I'm looking for is this here, where I'm featuring PPI year over year. That will be vital. We maintain that this should be somewhere in the range of 2.1 and 2.2. We're expecting an increment in view of energy and such. Anyway, the inquiry is it will be hot. When I discuss the diagrams, when I say is it will be hot, I'm alluding to 2.3% or higher, or is it will be lined up with assumptions or cooler, 2.2% or underneath that. We'll need to keep a watch out, folks. A fair PPI could send off the market higher in the event that it's 2.2% or lower. Assuming it's above 2.3, that will be negative for the business sectors. Watch for that cautiously. PPI comes out tomorrow an hour prior to the market opens at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thus prepare for that. and we have a lot of taken care of speakers like William Collins and Bostic giving talks later on during the day tomorrow. Okay, so that is all there is to it for the information. The primary piece of information is coming out an hour prior to Showcase Open tomorrow. I'll discuss this and watch for PPI. Moving right along, we should discuss the outlines. What the heck would we say we are seeing? Tesla has this enormous bar somewhere in this vicinity, and one could contend that there is a potential head and shoulders-like design that could be growing here on the off chance that we sort of spring up tomorrow and once more begin dropping. Presently, from a specialized viewpoint, we are looking somewhat more vulnerable on Tesla when we take a gander at the 4-hour time span. We're going to get a negative cross in the PO, and this prompts its chance sort of popping and dropping lower. There is a gamble of that on Tesla, particularly on the grounds that we're getting outside terrible bits of information. And thus, technicals truly do look a touch more bear after this large red bar that came today. Be that as it may, I wouldn't exclusively exchange based off technicals, as another huge variable will be what we get from the information, the PPI report. In this way, as a sanity check, we need to check the two closures out. In the event that we get a fair PPI, the entire market bobs. Search for Tesla to push to something like $173. That is where our 50 and 200 EMAS end up being. What's more, assuming we break past that, search for $175. In the event that we're negative, Tesla needs to lose $167. In the event that we lose this, $167.8 is coming, trailed by $165. What's more, there's likewise the idea that there could be a head and shoulders framing on Tesla. Thus, this could resemble a left shoulder here. This could be the head, perhaps Tesla pops a smidgen and afterward in the long run returns. That is major areas of strength for a 2. The outline favors drawback on Tesla, however, as a sanity check, we'll need to see what befalls the general market and PPI. In this way, keep that in your subconscious and be exceptionally receptive. Regardless, for SPY, we have a major red bar too. Nonetheless, what's great about SPY is we're attempting to sort of twist here on the MACD, and we're looking alive. As I would like to think, the last time we hit this $52.5 region, we saw SPY attempt to bounce back a little. In this way, we'll need to check whether that turns out to be the case once more. In this way, on the off chance that we're bullish and technicals really do lean towards SPY attempting to become back up to about $516, assuming that we are bullish, you will be searching for a move as far as possible back up to about $516.5 and afterward $518. For negative, you need to see this thing essentially lose $522.5. That's what, assuming we lose, we will be coming right down to $510.110. What PPI causes if